Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. I am honored to welcome you into this space this morning, this time together. It's been an interesting, very interesting week, and I hope in this time together we have an opportunity to settle, to find once again the reasons we are a community, the reasons we come, the reasons we are who we are. So take a deep breath, and let me introduce to you the folks that are here in the sanctuary once again. We have Daniel Goodsit and John Forsyth in the AV room, Stu Shelton at the piano, and I will introduce to you now Patty Bryan, our worship associate for this morning.
Good morning, and welcome once again to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name's Patty Bryan, and I'm your worship associate this morning. I'd especially like to welcome anybody who has joined our community online since the beginning of the pandemic. If you're with us live this morning, thank you for being here. Let me urge you to say hello in the live chat, which you can find on our YouTube page. If you let us know you're here and who you are, you'll find right away that we live up to our mission of being a welcoming congregation. And if you email our administrator at office@uunaples.org, we can include you in our regular news blasts, which relate all of the excellent things that are going on here at UUCGN. We'd love to hear from you. Even in this time of separation, each of us is encouraged to grow spiritually in fellowship with others by joining in worship and online opportunities that offer education, reflection, and discussion. We try to do all of this in the spirit of love and acceptance, reaching out with our hearts, offering mutual support. Please take a peek at the email notices that are being sent out each week that offer you links to learning and fellowship opportunities. There's also our virtual coffee hour page on Facebook, and it's available to you to connect with others 24/7. Tomorrow night, our Mindful Monday Forum returns with a program led by Dr. Peter Bergeson, professor of political science at FGCU, and Kate Howard, who worked on the Bush-Gore Florida recount battle. They join us to discuss the election results and how it all played out. Please find registration information in today's Sunday news blast or in the monthly newsletter. And again, you can get on those lists by emailing office@uunaples.org. This week's Q&A with the minister on Thursday night will focus on the music program at UUCGN. Where are we? Where are we going? How will we get there? Members of the music committee will be online with the minister, and we'll look forward to your comments and input. And now, let us center ourselves by finding a comfortable position, taking a deep breath, and entering into this time of worship together as Stu plays this morning's prelude.
Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peacefully going along, we find ourselves here in community, each called from many different journeys, from many different life paths onto this river road. Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much tumult, too much uncertainty, too much pain. Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer it, where this journey ends. Others are here as lovers of the journey itself, lovers of life. Here in front, behind, beside, each a passenger, each a captain, doing the best we can. Rest here in your boats, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you. Let the current hold you. Let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers, "Let us be one." Let's join together in the chalice lighting on the screen. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. And let's join in singing our opening hymn, "There's a River Flowin' in My Soul." There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. Have you taken a breath yet? I mean a real deep, life-renewing breath. Let me give you permission to do that right now. Get yourself comfortable, your shoulders square. Take a deep breath in through your nostrils and slowly release it. I will not pretend that there isn't still a lot to be anxious about, but there is a need for us to take a pause, and find a moment to be still, to find our individual and collective centers. And I hope this service will somehow offer a space for us to do that. If you are joining us for the first time today, if you've been here, even if you've been here a while and are in need of reminding, let me explain that being a congregation on the liberal side of the religious spectrum doesn't necessarily mean that we are a congregation filled with a whole bunch of people to the left of center politically. Liberal religion speaks to an openness to new ideas and new truths. Liberal religion reveres the past and the words and deeds of women and men who have come before, but trusts the dawning future more. A world, we hope, filled with possibility and hope, a world shaped by human endeavor, motivated by love. That said, Unitarian Universalists believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We believe in justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We accept one another and support each other in our own growth and understanding. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth. We affirm the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process in our congregations and in society at large. We uphold the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And we hold a deep reverence for the interdependent web of existence of which we are just a part. And my friends, all of these things were on the ballot this past week, whether they were there to fill in the bubble or not. And at least on this front, we can be allowed to take that deep breath, filling and expanding our lungs so that we can breathe a little deeper, a little stronger, a little freer in every moment. This service is about finding that breath, to create a moment of stillness, to resist the headlong tumble into the future so that we can claim for ourselves in this moment a sense of gratitude, a sense of awareness, and some healing. We'll do a little bit more breathing later on in our meditation. But let's continue our service and settle into that time of sharing and meditation with our mornings, centering Him. Find a stillness. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find a silence, hold a silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, With the Spirit-giving power, I will find true harmony. Joys and sorrows abound in this world. The highs of victory and the lows of defeat, the concerns of an illness, the suffering of a friend or family member, the bubbling joy of small successes. These things are with us every single day, each in our own world, each in our collective worlds. We find that joy and woe are woven fine. This morning we are especially grateful for all of the citizens of this country who worked the polls this past week, who stood on sidewalks with their banners, who welcomed people in the voting places, who assisted folks in making sure their vote was counted, people who counted the votes, who took many hours of their time to make sure that the process worked, that our democracy worked, that all could take a breath knowing that world continued, that honesty continued, that our democracy continued. As always, we honor those people working on the front lines of the pandemic, a pandemic that has grown, and pandemic that threatens to overtake. We honor those people who give up their time, their energy, their lives, so that others might heal. And we honor those families, the growing number of families who have lost loved ones, who are faced with a life without them, who must figure out how to grieve in this time of separation. This coming week, on the 11th of the month, it's Veterans Day. And so today and next week as well, we will honor our veterans, those among us in the congregation and those who have served our armed forces over time in service to this democracy, in service to its continuance. We are grateful, ever so grateful, for what you do and what you have done. This morning's meditation is a combination of a couple of things. I would like you to get yourself comfortable. All of us are holding the stress of this past week, holding the stress of this past 7 months, holding the stress of years and years and decades and centuries of oppression. Get yourself comfortable, and if you will, once you're settled, I want you to take a few deep breaths with me, inhaling and filling your lungs as much as possible, letting them go slowly, and as you let them go, letting yourself relax a little bit. And we'll do that 3 times. The last time, perhaps we'll hold that breath, that intake, holding our lungs full before we let it go, and finally finding some relaxation in the release. Let's do that. In breath, fill the lungs, release. Breathe in, Feel your lungs and hold it. And let it go slowly, letting your body settle down your spine and through your torso. And as you resume your regular breathing, think of where you're holding some stress this morning. You could feel it in your neck and shoulders, and if so, then try to loosen those up and feel your shoulders perhaps from the inside out. Feel the tingle, the energy in those shoulders, and let it do its work. Loosen your jaw, perhaps bring a smile, a slight smile to your lips, a slight smile to your eyes. Let your forehead relax. Feel your tension release down through your body, through your legs, into the feet grounded where they are. Feel your hands. Let them relax comfortably. See if you can feel them from the inside out, a tingle, the energy flowing. If you carry tension in your chest, breathe into that and let it go. Relax your muscles as much as possible through your torso, your thighs and your legs. Feel your feet. Feel the tingle in your feet as the energy flows. Center yourself on your breath. And let us pause for this moment, finding our regular breath, feeling it in our nostrils or in the expansion of our chest. Let each breath draw you closer to the pulse of life, the natural rhythm of your breathing and your heartbeat. Let each exhalation create space for something new. Breathing in, we breathe in peace. Breathing out, we breathe out love. Let's do this quietly together across all this space for the next few seconds. Staying still, continuing the breath. I invite you into a time and space outside yourself. This past week, I took a walk in our memorial garden and took a few photographs. Sent them to Stu, who created this beautiful musical montage for us to continue our meditation through sight and sound. You can continue to sit quietly and breathe and hopefully watch as we enter into our musical meditation.
Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. Wendell Berry was a novelist and a poet and umpteen other things, very multi-talented guy. And he really speaks to peace in this piece. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with the forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. This reading is called The Gold Stars and the Bittersweet by Reverend Victoria Safford. Reverend Safford serves as the lead minister at the White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church in Mahtomedi, Minnesota. Mahtomedi, that's it, okay. And so she writes, one afternoon, someone left a strange and beautiful message, scotch-taped to the office door. The author didn't even leave a name, though I knew who it was. Her message simply said, I forgot to tell you when we met this morning that there are little gold stars all amongst the bittersweet. It's all there, mixed together. I had just met with this person who was not quite in crisis, but dancing on the edge, talking and weeping and raging through one of those hard moments that can last for weeks or months or years. It was painful stuff, faced with courage. Here, hours later, was this slightly mysterious, elegant message. And I thought, how amazing it is that some people can render even the most desperate experience poetically. And what a gift this is, this making art out of ashes, and how rare. I was moved. The next day, there came a second message from the person, this time on the answering machine, slightly altering my view of things. It's me again, calling back about the stars and the bittersweet. I forgot to tell you, I stuffed it all in the garbage bags, and they're in the closet in the social hall. Those berries make an awful mess. Well, there's not much poetry in that. As it turns out, there were no metaphors at work at all. Before our appointment that morning, this person had been cleaning up after a church party, for which decorations had included branches of cut bittersweet from members' autumn gardens and long lengths of gold tinsel to which tiny metal stars had been attached. So it really was all garbage. But I'm intrigued by conversations and by language that can speak of trash bags, closets, golden stars, and bittersweet, and refer with equal accuracy to the very depths of human hope and suffering, or to the details of a committee cleanup. And I know that I'm called, as I suspect we all are called, to places where the sacred and the ordinary are all mixed up together, where work is prayer, and prayer is song, and songs are sacraments, and sacraments are silent or spoken brokenly into messages that we sometimes barely comprehend. In words, we speak in love to one another and to the golden stars.
We take time every week in the middle of our service to remind one another that we are here together, that we serve one another in this congregation with its mission to be wonderfully welcoming and open to learning in mind and spirit. This past week, even amidst all the angst out in the world, the work of the congregation continued with meetings of membership, the Board of Trustees, and many others. Our wonderful Wednesdays, our Q&A with the minister on Thursdays. The office was working and humming. Life continues. The golden stars perhaps amid the bittersweet. And in this moment I ask that you think about what this place means to you and express your gratitude through your own generosity and contribute to the ongoing mission of the congregation by sending a check to the address shown on the screen, by going to our webpage and pushing the donate button. The morning's offering for the ongoing work, love, and mission of the congregation will be gratefully received. When I was in high school, I was chosen to perform the lead in the play Camelot, the musical Camelot. And I have to tell you that throughout the months of rehearsals for what amounted to basically just 3 performances, I was pretty boring as King Arthur. There wasn't any life in what I was reading or reciting, and I was aware of it as much as everyone else was, especially the music director who chose me for the role. On the night of the first performance, we were all standing behind the curtains off stage, and Mr. DiDomenico, the music director, was coming through and just sort of giving everybody sort of the excited, break a leg speech. And he noticed me standing off a little bit to the side, not quite hyperventilating, but nearly, and probably looking pretty ashen, even beneath the makeup. And though he was in a hurry to get out to the small pit orchestra, he took me by the hand and he pulled me off stage and out into the corridor. And he said, "You can do this." And he said, "Think of, if you would, the smell that you really love the most. What would that be? What would that be?" And I couldn't think. And he said, "Christmas trees, apple pie, baked bread, what?" And I said, "Apple pie." And he said, "All right, say, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a deep, deep breath, breathing in the aromas of apples and cinnamon." And he said, "Now do that. Take a breath and think about apple pie and cinnamon." And so I did that. And he said, "Great. Now do it again. Where are you feeling the tension most?" he said. And I said, "I was feeling it right here in the pit of my stomach." And he said, "Well, hold your hand there and tap it. Breathe." And then he took me by the shoulders and he said, "You are going to be great." And so I went out and beneath the lights of the footlights and the lights above and the audience, I managed to sparkle on that stage on that night, at least more than I had in rehearsals, enough for people to react. I was holding so much tension over the course of those rehearsals, so much angst, not thinking I could do it, wondering what kind of disaster would befall me, how I might actually break a leg on the stage. And so Mr. DiDomenico, even though in his own anxiety about a performance that he had crafted, and in a rush to get out in front to get things going, had the wherewithal, the ability to pause in the moment, take his own breath and pull me aside and make a difference. We should each have a Mr. DiDomenico in our lives every day. We all carry stress. We all carry fears of what will come next. We all are thinking about what's gone on in the past and how we're carrying that forward with us. We are, all of us, emotional creatures. And if perhaps somehow you thought you were a fully rational being, sort of immune to the anxieties and emotions of a normal human, then I want you to think honestly about how you felt this past year. What life has been like and how you've been carrying or where you've been carrying your anxiety. Now, you don't have to admit this to anyone because I know that's sort of part of being the rational human, that you don't really feel these things, but I know that you do. And I want you to speak to yourself in this moment and think about where and how you carry that, and how those anxieties have impacted your everyday life. How perhaps those anxieties have made you a little less skillful with someone else, or a little less mindful of their thoughts or their feelings. Where do you carry the stress? Is it here? Is it in your shoulders? In the pit of your stomach? Do you carry it up here? Where is it? Microsoft Word is not necessarily the thing I look for insight or learning, but in fact, technology does have its moments and occasionally fills in the gaps of learning. And though my grandmother was a weaver, I never knew about the word tenterhooks. Now, I have written many times not many times, but a few times in a sermon, being on tenderhooks. And every time Microsoft Word will tell me that I'm spelling this wrong, but I'm thinking, well, maybe it just doesn't know the word. It's not in the dictionary. It's an old-fashioned word, whatever. But in fact, having looked it up this past week, I learned that tenterhooks are the little hooks that used to be on the fuller's frames when they stretched cloth after it had been washed and after all the oils had been taken out of it. They stretched fabric, wool, cotton, whatever, across frames and attached them to the frames using the tenterhooks. The frames were called tenters and the hooks were tenterhooks, and that's how they stretched the fabric so that it didn't shrink in the drying process. So what came to be was that being on tenterhooks was having this feeling of being stretched beyond sort of your normal wants and needs, a sense of anxiety, a sense of suspense or uneasiness. So being on tenterhooks. And we have all been on tenterhooks this past 7-8 months and before, many of us for months and years and decades and centuries before. If you're aware of being on tenterhooks because of the election or the pandemic or social isolation, or just the reality of confronting the world every day, feeling like you are stretched thin, that it's hard to breathe, you're not alone. The connection, I think, to the world, to every human being, and perhaps if you think about it, especially to those folks who have lived beneath the weight of oppression for so long, the inability to breathe, to feel stretched, to feel on tenterhooks is not a healthy thing. We need to breathe. We need to recognize those moments when it's right to stop and take a breath. I think this is one of those moments. We certainly didn't expect, perhaps I didn't expect, the election results to take as long as it did. I wasn't thinking it was going to happen at midnight on November 3rd, but waiting until yesterday for the results sort of left us all in a heightened state of anxiety. And before we rush into what's next, that will be next week's service, it is important that we collectively, or individually and collectively, take a breath to find the space between what has gone before and what will be, and to center ourselves, to renew ourselves, to heal ourselves so that we can help heal the world. Taking breaths, meditating, taking a walk, however we find our ways to relieve those feelings of anxiety without escaping them, without avoiding them, because we are very, very good at that. Finding our way to deepen into the stillness so we can connect with something deeper. There might well, you say, be other uses for this moment. There could be pleasurable things to do in celebration, chores we put aside and need to get to. We simply might like to close our eyes and go back to sleep after not sleeping particularly well for a week. But this may just be one of those moments where we need to stop and find some stillness. One of the moments between what came before and what is yet to be. A moment to find something that feels a little vague right now, but a sense that unless we give it our time and attention, it may never blossom. Perhaps it's a yearning for some meaning which language cannot yet describe. A quest for something deeper within ourselves, or a connection outside ourselves. Maybe it's a quest for self-forgiveness, for times when our own anxieties have caused us to harm others or be mindful of their humanity and their needs. Maybe the yearning comes from our separation, not only from others, but from ourselves. This yearning, this lack, this sense of something we know only fully in moments of quiet and stillness, alone or with other seekers. And it is strange how we do try to avoid those moments. We can be creative in doing that, filling the void right away with our own busyness, our own sense of escape, or diving back immediately into the demands and pressures of the world, because sometimes we thrive on that. But there is renewal and stillness, healing. It takes time for it to blossom, time for it to grow. But if we let it, if we take the time together, it becomes more possible to see the stars among the bittersweet, to be grateful for each moment and the world around us, those relations that are so important. It allows us to take that deep, sustaining breath and settle, to find that space between one moment and the next where there can be healing and hope. And only when we heal will we be able to listen and help each other find that way forward. For the world is still out there in need of our best selves, found in moments of stillness. May it be so for you. Take a deep breath, and then we'll move forward together. So go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Honor all beings. Have a good day, a good week. Take a deep breath. Next week, we'll figure out where we go from here.